Welcome to the Budget Mom YouTube channel. I'm Kamiko Love from thebudgetmom.com, and today I'm bringing you along with me for my meal planning. Today we're going to be going through all the different steps that I take to create my weekly meal plan, the things that save me money on my grocery budget, and everything in between. Okay, so today we're talking about meal planning, and I get a lot of questions about the things that I do that have saved me money over my financial journey. Now, a little backstory. Before I got a grip on managing my food spending, I used to spend about $800 every month for just me and my kiddo. And at that time, my son was very young, probably 2 or 3 years old. He's now 8. And I went from $800 a month down to $400 to $450 a month for my food. So what changed? What caused me to drastically cut my food budget from $800 to $400 a month, nearly in half? So it was definitely a journey. And the number one thing that I want to talk about today and really say up front about your food budget, there are a lot of people out there that give hard lines, hard guidelines, a hard dollar amount, a hard value that you should be spending on your groceries. Either it's $100 a person, or $400 a month, or $50 a week, or whatever it may be. And I'm here to say that there are no hard lines, rule of thumb values for your food budget. Why? Your food budget is really created from 3 different factors. The first being where you live, because location plays into the price of your food. Number 2 is your family size. Obviously, you're gonna have a bigger food budget, or you're gonna be spending more if you have more mouths to feed. And number 3 is if you are dealing with any dietary or food restrictions. If you are, say, dairy and gluten-free, that's definitely gonna play a role in how much you are spending. If you're a vegetarian and you don't eat meat, and we all know that meat or protein is the most expensive ingredient in recipes. So food restrictions, where you live, and family size all plays a role in figuring out how much you should be spending on your food budget. Another recommendation that I have is I call food spending or your food budget the silent killer of our budgets. Why? It's because it goes from being a necessity, okay, we all have to eat, so it's a necessity in our lives, but it's really easy to turn that necessity into a want. Raise your hand if you've ever been to the grocery store, list in hand, knowing exactly what you need, and you walk out of the grocery store and you come home with bags full of stuff of things that were not on your list. The temptation of strolling the aisles. So one of the things that we need to do in order to get a better grip on our food spending is we have to start with a realistic foundation. That realistic foundation is what you are currently spending every single month for your food, whether that's eating out or grocery shopping. Now, I personally like to have my food category in my budget be made up of grocery shopping and eating out, so I combine the two. I have a lot of people that separate those 2 things out into separate categories. So whatever way is fine. Some people separate eating out because they want to analyze that spending a little bit more in their lives. You're breaking it down further into detail. For your food spending, whether you're including eating out and grocery hauls, or it's just grocery hauls, you need to know how much you're spending now. Because the goal is not to go from $800 a month to $400 a month. The goal is to go from $800 a month to $750 a month. You want to ensure that if your goal is to decrease your food budget, you go from where you are currently spending money, what you're realistically spending, and then you decrease in incremental, bite-sized, achievable steps. It's going to be really hard to stick to that food budget if in the beginning you set yourself up for failure by doing it so drastically and by such a huge amount. So start with what you're really spending and then decrease a little bit every time you create your budget. And if you can stick to that, perfect. Decrease it by another $50 for the next paycheck and keep decreasing and perfecting and tweaking. Now, the reason today we're talking about meal planning is because that was one of the things that I implemented into my life to decrease my food budget more and more and more every single time I got my paycheck. So today we're going to be talking about the different steps I take in my meal planning process. And step number 1 is looking at what I already have at home. All right, so one of the first things that I do when creating my meal plan is looking at what I already have at home. And that starts with my meat freezer out in my garage. So there is one ingredient in my recipes. Now, I am not a vegetarian. I do eat meat. So the first ingredient I check is always my protein source, because proteins in your recipes is actually the most expensive ingredient. So I like to choose my recipes based off the meat that I already have at home. So in this freezer, for instance, the first thing I like to see is just what kind of meat I'm working with. So I can automatically see I have steaks in here, a bunch of steaks. I have a couple of whole chickens. I have chicken wings. I have chicken thighs. I have boneless, skinless chicken breasts down here, frozen avocado. That's always good to note as well, the different frozen veggies or fruits that I have. Over here on my door, you can see I have frozen strawberries, hamburgers. I have ground beef. I have ground turkey. So I have a lot of different meat ingredients to work with when creating my meal plan recipes. So I think it's really important to note too that I like to do bulk grocery runs at Costco. 99.9% of the time, that includes buying my meat in bulk to save money. So if I see a good deal on bulk meat at Costco, I have in my life a Costco sinking fund. And I have it in my budget to save $100 per paycheck into this Costco sinking fund. And then when it's time for me to do those bulk grocery runs at Costco, which can be pretty expensive, especially if you're buying bulk meat, I have the cash already available. Now inside my Costco sinking fund, you can see my spending tracker. Anytime I add money to this sinking fund or I spend it, I always have an updated balance of how much I have to spend. So I can also plan my grocery trips going in with it knowing, hey, okay, I only have $300 to buy my bulk meat this trip. I gotta make it work with that. That's how much I have to save. So that also plays a role in what you're seeing behind me with my bulk meat freezer. The next place I like to check is actually in my pantry. Now today, I'm also gonna be accomplishing another task. I'm gonna be showing you that you don't need a Pinterest perfect organized pantry and kitchen in order to create an organized method for meal planning in your life. I'm gonna be real honest and show you my real pantry, which is, by the way, the most disorganized it's ever been since living in my new house. But there is a method to my madness. So let me show you what's going on. So the next place I like to check is my pantry. Now, this is my pantry. And you can see there's so much stuff all over the floor, but there is a method to this. So I went gluten and dairy free. And in that process, I got behind on tracking my essentials or my food staples in my pantry. That's what happened. And so everything that is not tracked for my pantry inventory is currently sitting on my floor until I can get updated with that. But let me show you the main reason why we're coming in here. So inside of my pantry, I actually have a pantry inventory checklist. It looks like this. Now, this is not everything inside of my pantry. This is only pantry staples. So my seasonings, my grains, my pastas, my canned goods, which you can see right here. So they're things that I gravitate or need the most frequently when I'm creating my meal plans. So I like to come over here and I like to, if I need to see if I have a spice or if I need to make sure I have a canned good, it's all right here on my pantry inventory checklist. We do have these inventory checklists in my free resource library, and I'll put a link to those in the description of this video. But essentially, for instance, when I write down the count of the number of spices that I have, then I do it just by the little jar. If I run out of it, I put a slash through it. And that reminds me that I need to add it to my grocery list. And then when I replenish that, I just add the quantity that I buy in the next box. So this constantly gives me a running total of the different things that I need for my food staples when I'm creating my meal plan. So after I've kind of gone through what I already have at home, especially my meat ingredients, the next thing I like to do is search for my recipes. Now, there are two places in my life that I search for recipes. If I'm not using a cookbook that I already have at home, now let me tell you, I have a substantial collection of cookbooks, but if I don't want to use one of my cookbooks, I run to Pinterest to find my recipes. The reason being is it's really easy to search specific recipes on Pinterest. And what I mean by that, for instance, I saw that in my meat freezer, I had a whole chicken. And I would love to cook that whole chicken as part of my meal plan recipe this week. So I can come to Pinterest, which you're gonna see right here. And the first thing I can do is I can pop up a search bar and just type whole chicken recipe, and I might even say Instapot. This allows me to search exactly by the ingredients that I have and the way that I want to cook it. So there's a bunch, you can see a whole bunch of different recipes, and I really like the way that this looks. So let's click on that. I like this recipe. The next thing that you really need to pay attention when you're looking for a recipe, when I create my meal plan, I leave 2 days for leftovers, for dinners. Okay, we're utilizing that food. We're not letting anything go to waste. There's another way that I utilize leftovers in my life to not only save money, but save time. I use leftovers for lunches. So if you're not bulk making your lunches, you should be using those leftovers for your lunches. And there's one way that I do that. So I have a very small family of 3. And when I'm looking for a recipe, I see the servings. I pay attention to the number of servings. I always do 2 extra servings past my family size. The reason being is because you're already making the food anyways. Save yourself the time and money and just make extra of that meal and utilize the leftovers for your lunches. So I'm a family of 3. So I like to look for a recipe that offers a serving size of 4 to 6. That ensures I'm making extra of that meal or that recipe so I can utilize those leftovers. So this one's great. Most of the time on Pinterest too, you can change the serving size and it will actually change your ingredients as well. So I'm gonna keep this at serving size 6. I wanna make this Instapot whole chicken, and then I just print out the recipe. All right, so I've picked out 5 different recipes for my weekly meal plan. Another great thing to know about Pinterest and why it's so helpful is you can also find recipes based on any dietary restrictions that you have. So recently, I went dairy and gluten-free. I also did a whole month of Whole30. So it really changed my perspective on what I consume and the things that I put in my body. So I am a little more aware, and therefore I'm a little more careful with what I choose for my recipes. So that's another great option for using Pinterest and not being restricted by a cookbook. So here I got 5 different recipes. So we have a Whole30 stuffed peppers, and this is using that ground turkey that I saw in my freezer. We have a slow cooker lasagna soup, and this is using that ground beef that we saw in my freezer. We are doing an Instapot beef stew. This is using that beef stew. I saw a whole package of stew beef in my freezer. The whole chicken recipe. And then also we're gonna be using some of the chicken thighs. I also saw in my freezer, we're gonna be making some creamy Tuscan chicken. So those are the 5 recipes that I use. Now you might be asking, Miko, what do I do with these recipes now that I have them? I know I have the meat ingredients. So once you have your recipes, grab a couple of different highlighters. Now, the first thing that I do, I make a check mark on the ingredient list if I have it here at home, and I use a highlighter to highlight the ingredients I still need to buy at the store. So for instance, with my Instant Pot whole chicken, we know I have the whole chicken, so I'm gonna put a check mark there. I have garlic, I have paprika, I have salt, and I have ground pepper. So because I know I have these ingredients at home, not only do I not have to spend a dime for this recipe, but it's gonna give me additional leftovers and an extra dinner. So I do that with every single recipe that I have. So I have all of my recipes, all 5 of them, highlighted and checkmarked. The great thing about this is it prevents you from doubling up on things. So how many times have you run to the store for a can of tomato paste? Like you're doing some grocery shopping and you kind of see it on the shelf, you're like, oh, I should probably get that. Even though you don't know if you have it at home, you come back and you have 6 cans of tomato paste already sitting in your pantry. So this helps from doubling up or buying things that we already have at home and spending that money. So it also helps with food waste and really limiting the things that you have just sitting around. So now that I have them checkmarked and highlighted, I decide what days I want to cook what things. Now, the recipe that I'm making for each day of the week depends on the fresh ingredients that I am buying. For example, my stuffed peppers. Since I only go to the grocery store once per week, I don't want to get those stuffed peppers today on Monday and not make them till Sunday, right? Because the fresh peppers, bell peppers might not last that long. So I'm gonna decide to make the bell peppers on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. That way I can ensure that those don't go bad. So that's what I do when I create my actual meal plan for the week. So you might have noticed with my breakfast and my lunches, it's pretty much the same every day. Yes, I eat oatmeal every morning for breakfast. It's one of my favorite foods of all time. So I don't mind eating that same thing every day. The great thing about oatmeal is you can mix it up. You can add different fruits, different flavorings, different textures. So you can really mix up oatmeal and make it a variety of things, and that's why I enjoy eating it for breakfast. And then leftovers for my lunch pretty much every single day. It's my dinners that change. You might have also noticed that I put 2 days worth of leftovers in my meal plan recipe. So now it's time to create my shopping list. And this work is already done for me since I already did the check and highlighter system on my recipes. So the great thing, I don't need anything for my whole chicken. Here's something. So on my beef stew, I do need to get some red potatoes. So I like to personally break my shopping list into different categories. One being produce. And I like to make the header for my shopping list all different colors. So that's produce, and I need red potatoes. And I'm gonna do about 1 pound. So I go through and I write down all the different things that are highlighted from all of my different recipes. So I also need zucchini, and I'm just gonna buy 2 of those, so I have 1 left over. Okay, we're gonna start a new label here. These are things for my pantry. And I need chicken broth. Okay. I need bell peppers. We can do 5 of those. Perfect. Okay, so most of the time, because I focus on the meat ingredient, I make sure that it's something that I already have at home. Most of the time, my meal plan grocery list consists of my perishable foods. So fruits, veggies, some one-off items that I need in my pantry, like cans of mushrooms, for instance. That's mostly what you'll find in my weekly grocery shopping list. The great thing is for this week's recipes, which we're making fantastic, healthy recipes, I'm only buying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things at the store. Of those things, 5 of them are for produce, so perishable items, and then the other 3 are just one-off things that I need for my pantry. All in all, this is a very small 8-item grocery list for a 7 days worth of food for my family. Now, my family size is 3 people, me, my son, and my boyfriend. I'm personally dairy and gluten-free, so we do have a dietary restriction there, and I live in the state of Washington. So off of an estimate off my head, and because I've been doing this for so long, I'm gonna say that we can keep this week's grocery budget and grocery shopping list to, I would say, under $40. The next thing I do is I order my groceries online. There are many reasons why I like to order my groceries online. For instance, the efficiency of it. Now, if you are a mom with young kiddos, then you know what I'm talking about. Being able to go pick up your groceries, not have to haul your kiddos inside, and here, I want, right? You're just able to get in and get out. The second thing is it's gonna save you money. When you're shopping online, especially like through Walmart grocery pickup, you're able to do price comparisons very quickly and very easily. It's because when you are searching for instance, red potatoes or cheddar cheese, it allows you to see all the varieties and different brands for what you're looking for all in one place. And that allows you to do price comparison really, really easily. So let's take a look at my shopping list. Today we're gonna be doing Walmart grocery pickup. So the first thing on my list is red potatoes. So using Walmart grocery pickup, you can see all the different red potatoes. So here we have baby red potatoes. I personally like to get the baby reds. These are 16.5 cents each. These are about 29 cents each for these potatoes. So those are more expensive, but these are also the whole red potato. Personally, for me, I don't mind spending a little bit more money for organic. So I usually tend to go towards the Market Side Organic. Market Side is their brand. $1.32 a pound, a 3-pound bag. I'm gonna add that for $3.96. It's $3.97 for a 1.5 pound bag of the baby red potatoes. So I'm just gonna go with the organic whole red potatoes because you're gonna get a lot more for that price. Next up is zucchini. I only need 2 of these, so I'm gonna add 2 of those. All right, so something interesting happened with this Walmart grocery pickup. So to do Walmart grocery pickup or any type of grocery pickup, they usually have a limit that you have to hit as far as how much you're spending. So Walmart grocery pickup, you have to spend $35 or more to set up that grocery pickup order. For this week's meal plan, I'm only spending $27.13. And this is the question where you need to ask yourself, are there other things, staple items that you might need for your home? Milk, eggs, bread, pasta sauce, you know, those types of things that you need or can stock up on right now to get up to that $35 limit so you can save yourself the time from going into the store? Or do you just bite the bullet and know that you can just spend $27 and take the time to go find these 8 things at the store? For me personally, I would just go into the store and get the 8 items. That's very easy for me to do, and I honestly don't have anything else I need to buy for my home, and I don't want to just sit here and add things to my cart because I need to spend more money to get that Walmart grocery pickup. So I'm just going to choose to go to the store for this week's meal plan grocery trip. So that's how I create my weekly meal plan. And I think getting this master plan and really making this a part of your weekly routine, everybody's different. Certain things are not going to work for other people. And also remember too, that there is no set value for your food budget. Ultimately, it comes down to the things that you value as far as the things that you're consuming and putting in your body and feeding your family. Everybody is different. Family size, food restrictions, location and where you live is really going to determine that. I hear a lot of my readers and community members that say, I feel like I'm failing or I'm not doing a good job because I saw someone else only spending $500 a month for a family of 5 and I'm currently spending $1,000. There's other factors that play a role, but as far as meal planning, I think that that's something everybody can kind of implement into their life in their own way, using their own techniques and things that work into their schedule. And I think it's really, really important, especially when it comes to preparing for how we spend our money when it comes to our food. If you found this video helpful, please like it and don't forget to subscribe. And number 3, all right, so